There's a lot of good gunsmiths. And the people I've emulated in my learning process has been like Harry Pope, Roy Dunlap, Skoyan, Zushang, Frank Wells, Neil Rice, just people that I admire because they've always expected and demanded perfection out of what they've done. So I've taken those lessons and I think improved on it in some extent. I got involved with a man by the name of Roy Dunlap. He's a man who wrote a book called Gunsmithing. And he taught me a lot of things about gunsmithing, and also a man by the name of Frank Wells. Frank Wells is a stock builder. I was working with him and he was showing me all the techniques that he knows how to build a stock. When you're talking about the competitive side, the accuracy side of it, the meticulous machinery type stuff of it, the finite fit and finish and way you do things. There's another side of a gun, and that is the beauty side of it, the artistic side of it. Frank taught me all those things. When people saw what I was doing, they wanted me to have theirs done. Then you could take something and put beauty along with accuracy. That was my goal. Well, that was just basically a matter of my choices in life as to what I wanted to do as far as a profession. I joined the Air Force and served 9 years active duty. I shot with the All Air Force team and was able to shoot with the big team, the Air Force team. I transferred over into the National Guard and served a total of 27 years military. After the Air Force, I joined the Tucson Fire Department. Did a lot of work on the days off because you work 10 days a month, basically. After that, I became law enforcement and then accepted a job in Cody, Wyoming at the Ballard Rifle Company, the old single-shot rifles, which fit into my shooting game, which is, at that point in time, that's where I was at. There was a lot of people that had had a lot more experience than I had, so they basically gave me the ideas, told me the concepts, and they just made sense to me. When I started shooting a game called Silhouette, that was a game that you shot bolt-action rifles instead of the issued military rifles that they gave you. So I had to do some things to the rifle myself. So I bought a lathe and I bought a mill, and that was back in about the late 60s, early 70s. When anybody shot my equipment, it seemed to be doing just a little bit better than most of the people's normal rifle. Apparently I was doing something right, and I think it was just being meticulous at whatever I did.
Absolutely perfect.
I'm probably one of the very, very, very few ever to win the Air Force Gold Medal. But I'm a distinguished shooter. I'm international distinguished. I have won 3 national championships in silhouette, Canadian national championships, United States high power, United States small bore, 8 or 9 national championships in Schützenfest, 8 world records. My biggest accomplishments was being the first person in the history of Schützenfest, winning all 4 categories and doing that, setting world records and national records at that match. Been very successful in shooting. My dad gave me some insights to some of the little principles, and we shot with 22s, and putting the center of a sight in the middle of the back aperture and then putting the target on top of that just made sense to me and picked it all up very naturally. My pulse rate, my conditioning that I've always had contributed to my abilities to do that. There's nothing like practical experience for a person to learn what their rifle's all about. I believe wholeheartedly in dry firing as a first step. I dry fire sitting down just to educate my finger. Then I do it standing up, and then I go out to the range and I do all this stuff. You don't know what you're going to get into. You need to adapt to your environment. Started out in what they called NRA cross-the-course gun. They shoot military rifles at 200, 300, and 600 yards. They do an offhand stage, a rapid-fire setting stage, and a rapid-fire prone stage, and then back to 600 with a prone slow fire. And my scores were usually in about the 480s or 490s. I went into a sport called silhouette. That's a sport where they shoot at metal animals, all offhand. I was gifted at offhand position. I've done some things that I built a platform, what I felt was a position that was very stable for me, and my score showed that. After silhouette, I went into a game called Shoots and Fest. Shoots and Fest is shot in 4 stages: offhand, iron sight, bench iron sight, offhand scope, and bench scope. I'm the first person in the history of that sport to ever win all 4 categories in one match in the national championships. Great accomplishment for me. What we call gifted shooters, and they're trained shooters. A gifted shooter is a person that you just hand him something and he's able to do whatever you want. And then a person who's trained can maybe do the same thing, but a person who's gifted and trained becomes just a little bit better and on top. And that's where I fell in. When I first started to work for Best of the West, the company owners said we weren't building bench rest type rifles, but yet when you look at what we do at Best of the West and the things that we advocate, the long-range shooting process, you really need a rifle that shoots as good, if not better than, a bench rest type rifle. Accuracy makes that paramount. We take some of the thought processes from competitive shooters, from people who know what they're doing, building guns or whatever, and we do put the finest components in it as well as the way it's configured. There's a few tricks I've learned that makes the way I do a chamber different than some other people, so it was a perfect fit for the Best of the West and my capabilities. The first thing that's unique about our rifle is our stock configuration. We have a rifle that fits people. You want to have your hand comfortable, not like this. They can shoot it off of a bench. It feels very good to them. They're built to fit perfectly and shoot perfectly. So with the scope, which was one of the best I've ever seen, I would love to have had one when I was shooting silhouette with the windage marks in there. Oh, that would have been a great advantage. The ability to have a ballistics program right there in the turret, when it is ready to go, it comes out as a system. It doesn't come out as a, here's your rifle, go buy a scope. It's all together. It's a perfect system. Our rifles are all shot by our personnel, all data collected in a turret built specifically for that rifle, for that ammo, for their gun. Be confident in those long-range shots. You know that bullet is going to be within inches of what you're shooting at. I know of nobody else that does that for their customers. We get a lot of customers here that send their rifle in and they want a scope put on it. We go out and we sight the rifle in, first of all, to see how it shoots. Well, it comes back from the range and they say, well, this thing shoots about like that at 200 yards. Our rifles that we build here are usually shooting about like that at 200 yards, or better. In the process, they'll ask for either a rebarrel job or something done to the rifle to figure out how to make it more accurate. It may be a barrel change, it may be as simple as a bedding job. But if I do barrel it, and if I do a bedding job, I try very, very hard to work on that gun exactly like it was my gun. It has to meet my standard or I just don't let it go. Everything I do. I choose to work with this type of system and under this company because I think it's for the general public out there that needs to see and needs to be shown and needs to have the best.
Absolutely perfect.